A morning coffee in the garden, pre-shoes, in bed socks. You'll often find me looking at flowers. Circles everywhere, coffee mugs, flowers, and even a tattoo. The circle has come to mean a lot to me over the years, and as I wander around the garden this morning, I ponder my journey. It's a journey that began here with this art piece, a piece called Finding Tilly, which depicts my grief at Tilly's diagnosis. It's a piece about being separated from your child in those early days of diagnosis with grief. Here, squares, not circles. The square for me depicting control, boundaries, bricks in a wall, security. But then the bricks literally being blasted from the canvas. Great voids opening up, dark holes to fall into. This is the experience of diagnosis of a child and the understanding that there is no control in life. But through the voids, a pathway of thumbprints, my dad's voice coming to me, telling me, "She needs you, darling, you've got this." Dad would leave thumbprints on everything, him and me both sharing club thumbs. It was a pathway holding on to his voice back to my own child. Sewn into this piece the words of other moms with children with the same syndrome, because I sent a questionnaire out to them, and this is where my relationship with the circle was formed. For my dear friend Barbara from Alaska, much missed now, sent me this quote. She said about her daughter, "My daughter has taught me to love and to give and to live. She taught me how to listen to my heart and to strangers' faces. She taught me how to read the weather and to look beyond the storm clouds. She taught me how to turn disappointment into positive energy, and she showed me that life really is a perfect circle." I never ever wanted to forget that idea of looking beyond the storm clouds, of hope rolling in, of magic always rolling round. And that's why I got a circle tattoo on my wrist. For me, it symbolises real life and hope within it, no matter whether you're in the storm or waiting for sunnier days. Magic always rolls round. In the Herb Crafters Tarot, the 3 major arcana for this week all have circles in. Of course, we're looking for the wheel this week in the garden, so of course we're in the realm of the circle. The Hanged Man, the wheel, and justice to be found somewhere in my garden. But I go out into my garden with Barbara's words ringing in my heart and soul. The circle, magic rolling around. The flow state of the wheel. I go into my garden looking for circles. It seems apt that I start by looking for the wheel of fortune. Where do I find that in my garden? And I come to the circle of the strawberry barrel. This barrel in need of some work this week. You can see it's got wildflowers growing in there, hidden amongst grasses. Wildflowers waiting to open, and that's the Hanged Man as well. We have the Hanged Man and the Wheel of Fortune here, as any unopened flower is a flower in waiting. It's full of snails, which I put to one side and turn around 2 seconds later and they've all disappeared. I decide to cut back the hedge as well to let some light in, and very soon we have the circle and a beautiful sunny sky. This, the warmest day of the year so far. Fighting pigeons accompanied me the whole time as I revealed this circle. It's actually a triple goddess sign that I've built with reclaimed bricks. I don't know if you can quite work it out, but The wildflower has gone just so prolific this year. I took one from a bank of them. They're fox and cubs, and I didn't know whether it had taken, but it's everywhere now in the garden. One little wildflower, now many. There's hope and the circle turning right there. And of course there's strawberry flowers coming out. I left some brambles to get blackberries. This the hanged man as well. Blackberries are now over £3 for a punnet with about 12 in, so the brambles are being left. It's boiling hot and I join Rupert to watch the pigeons who are still fighting. Perhaps hanged man energy here as well, each unable to see from the other's perspective. It was quite the show. Of course, being in a garden and doing any sort of gardening, it makes you really in touch with real energy. There's a turning of seasons, a turning of the weather, a turning of days. You're very in touch with that cyclical turning motion of the wheel the minute you get your hands in dirt. So I feel in a way that the wheel has been everywhere, but then so is the hanged man. Look at these grids that I put up here. This is to stop the dogs from eating the dirt and nibbling at the flowers in this bed. A end of a rusty, broken bench and metal grids I saved from the tip. I'm always gardening from the dog's perspective to try and keep the garden and them safe. This week I also secured the bottom of the vegetable garden fences. These grids are from a friend's metal gazebo that they were throwing away, and yet more metal grids from the tip. A change of perspective, the dog's viewpoint, and upcycling, like here with cable ties. It's all new ways of looking at things, a new perspective, very hanged man energy. So the hanged man and the wheel has literally been everywhere, as is the fool always, that dog behind me nipping at my heels as I walk towards the cliff edge. So the days of this week have been busy. It's seen me every evening as the sun begins to set under this beautiful golden light that catches on the magic tree. It's seen me watering. It seems a long time since last summer and the need for daily watering, but here we are again, the wheel turning, the seasons rolling back round. And as day rolls into night and the sun begins to set, I check the roses yet again for any open blooms. We are still in hanged man energy. With no open roses yet, the moon whispers patience. And as day rolls into night, I'm just grateful for the simple days pottering in the garden, and then to be able to come in and light a candle and to play with the tarot deck. Real simple pleasures that just make me feel so grounded and wonderful. The hope of simple pleasures that can be accessed even in difficult times. That's the hope of the circle right there. And with the start of a new day, I head out to the greenhouse and we have new plants growing. This is such a magic moment. I also decided to harvest some hosta seeds as well. I've never tried to plant on hostas before. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but let's just give it a go. I'm trying to germinate them between paper towels at the moment. I'm not sure whether it will work. And also peppers with seeds collected just from peppers I bought. Let's see if that will work. So from seeds to shoots to buds to full flowers open, you've got the full wheel going on here. You've also got the hanged man, those flowers that yet aren't open, that we're waiting on. But there's also a bit of justice in there as well, that idea of karma, cause and effect, because none of this happens without good decisions about how to treat the garden or where to plant the plants and when to water. And as I'm pondering that, I spot this, the first tiny bit of colour on those wildflowers in the strawberry barrel where we started. Look at this. I have never been so excited about a tiny little spot of orange before. This is the joy of gardening. And then I think about another important circle in the garden which I want for my wheel energy, the trampoline. Oh my gosh, having a trampoline as I've parented my children from little to the teenagers they are now has been wonderful. And you can see all of the seeds around the edge of the trampoline have been jumped out because we've had teenager sleepovers during this week of half term. So while teenagers have jumped, I've been clearing out my nemesis, the bindweed, up here at the top of the garden. When I first bought this house, it was just glass, rubble and bindweed in the top half of the garden. At least now I get bindweed and peony seeds. And every year the bindweed gets less and less as me and my yellow buckets go into action. So, justice, pulling out the weeds, trying my best, and here a homage back to the wheel turns of old, my kids' baby toys, which this mama's heart just can't quite get rid of. So the plan is to plant these up and to pay homage and gratitude to the turning of the wheel in years gone by. It's funny really, all this week as I've cleared and tidied and tried to clear this circle around the trampoline, I have thought about how closely linked in my garden the hanged man, justice and the wheel have all been. They've all sat next to each other holding hands for me all week, as has the fool. And here are my two fools, yet again having found a way to break into the vegetable garden. It seems my trick of bricks behind the gate did nothing whatsoever. I can just imagine them now finding a way to pull the gate towards them. I seem to spend so much of my time in the garden standing here at different gates trying to work out a way to secure them. The hanged man energy, yet again, the hanged man and the fool. Then from gardening defiant to sleepy and cute on thrifted pillows, there's the wheel turn again from top to bottom. And then the wheel turns even more because this week we've been celebrating Poppy's birthday. We delayed it for a week because she's in the middle of her GCSEs, so it was lovely to celebrate a delayed 16th. I woke up with fresh flowers and a pastry breakfast. How can my kids all be teenagers? And that brings me to the family line and my ancestral altar, which is this actual wheel in the garden. My dad was always a professional cyclist. He had a bike shop as well, and Dad gave me this wheel when I was a teacher, needed a wheel to weave on with my class of 5-year-olds. I've got it next to my story time garden door, which is still weathered really well. Here it is underneath an arbour of roses, again made from that friend's broken gazebo. Hopefully in weeks to come I'll be able to add to this ancestral altar. But finally for this garden arcana, I wanted to talk about this plant, which you can see is self-seeded randomly from who knows where. It's also got circles on, circular seed pods and purple flowers that have now gone over. And for weeks I've been telling you all that this is a wild geranium. And so one of you lovely lot pointed out that actually it's a plant called honesty. And look where it was growing around the base of these tyres. This red vein dock seeded and what looks like other plants. So early one morning I went and got this spare pot from my front doorstep, which I've ignored for a long time. Look, it's full of just weeds. And I decided to empty it out and to replant my honesty plant into a much nicer home. I'm actually in my nightie here, guys, so you'll have to forgive this. This is me being brave, body confidence, trying to get on screen. But I'm early morning, before the kids are awake, in wellies, no socks and a nightie. But I really wanted to get this honesty planted, but there was more than one. I couldn't believe it. There were actually 3 honesty plants and one little baby one as well. These are 2 in this pot. They were kind of wrapped around each other, so I planted those together, and I actually had a second spare pot. Look what was growing in this. Another Japanese maple, and self-seeded at the front of the house, miles away from the neighbour's tree. I think plants are incredible. They just want to grow. So, slightly sidetracked, I go in search of another pot. These pots, which I was going to use, I randomly chucked some seeds in that I found on the floor, and I was gobsmacked to find that they were all growing. So I had to go and find a dinky little pot to house this beauty. This is justice in action as well, cause and effect. You love the seeds that you find on the floor and things grow. And look, my very first daisy of the year. Oh, these are probably my favourite flowers. Oh, I'm just so happy in the garden. It's just wonderful. So I planned up the second plant and these little offshoots and collect up all the snails that have been eating them as well. But where to put them? In the front of my garden by my bins, I have a bed of nettles for caterpillars. So I just placed the entire pot of snails out there. Again, justice, making good decisions to help nature, cause and effect. I'm certain that the biggest thing that makes plants grow is love. The more I throw love on plants, the more things grow. You can see the 2 cuttings that broke off I've also planted. It's just so nice to see honesty either side of the path now. And if those other 2 shoots take as well, it means I'm going to have 4 patches of this plant now in the garden, which is just absolutely wonderful. It's just been so much fun to share this all with you this week. So I really wanted to come on at the end of this video just to say a really huge thank you to all of you for your wonderful comments, for your views on these Garden Arcana videos, and for sharing the magic garden with me. Also a huge thank you to all the people who've been doing VRs to the Garden Arcana. I have to say that over the weekend, last weekend and throughout this week, which has been half-term week, grabbing quiet moments in the morning before the kids are up, not only to go into the garden, but to sit and watch the responses to this tag and to share other people's garden spaces or natural spaces from all over the world. We've had like communal gardens in New York, and we've had different gardens, all with totally different feels, all across America. It's just been absolutely wonderful, and I actually got quite emotional the last time I sat down to watch, because it just felt just so connecting to be sharing our garden spaces and the plants we're growing. I can't quite describe how different it feels sharing gardens to sharing anything else for me. it just made me feel really connected with you all. So for that, I'd really love to say thank you to everybody who is taking part in this tag, whether that just be tarot in real life out in the wild or in your own garden, however big or however small. If you have houseplants as well, that might be something you could share. It's just been really emotional for me to see everybody joining in. So I have started making a playlist for all the responses. If I've missed you, because it's taking me ages to scroll down all the videos that are recommended when I put in that tag, and I'm finding some videos like 50 videos down, so there's a possibility that I've missed you. So if I have missed your video and I haven't commented on it or watched, then please do let me know, and then I can come and watch and can add you to the playlist. So making these Garden Arcana videos in a more sort of vlog type format, I've really enjoyed it, and I wonder what you guys are thinking about this more vlog style format. It does take a lot longer to put a video together. I have struggled to just do one video a week in this format, but I'm loving it, and I think I'm loving it because it's bringing in all the parts of me that felt separate on the channel. So the art and the garden and the tarot and just general rambling, they all felt like separate parts until I began to do a vlog type format, and then it kind of feels like it's joined it all together. So I'm thinking of changing the direction of the channel to have videos a bit more like the Garden Arcana videos, because I've just really loved putting them together, even though it is slightly more challenging. Storytelling via vlogging. So let me know what you think of that, but mostly I came on at the end just to say a massive thank you to you all. It really touches my heart that any of you watch and that you leave beautiful comments. Is just like the cherry on the cake. And thank you for the VR responses. It's just been an absolute joy. So thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.